Hello, everyone. Today I am joined by Kathy Bedward. She was one of my favorite people, coach friends, and we met during the coach certification program in Texas last year. And her expertise is in weight loss, and I thought it would be a very good opportunity to share her expertise with the world because weight loss is definitely a big part of a lot of people's mental health problems. So, Kathy, do you want to quickly introduce yourself and your background before we get started?
Sure. Like Billy said, I'm Kathy Bedward. I'm a certified life coach, and I have this radical approach to weight loss that's unlike anything that I've seen out there, and I think better than anything I've seen out there. So I'm really excited to share this with everybody. And my background is everybody looks at me and think, oh, it's just easy for you to be thin and fit because you just always have been, which is not the case. I used to be about 55 pounds heavier than I am now. People are like, 50, 50? Yeah, it's true. And I struggled with my weight for a lot of years. It was very frustrating. It was a very awful, like hard time in my life filled with self-loathing and shame. And I want to help people who are stuck in that cycle get out of the cycle. And what's out there right now is not helping us. The whole diet mentality, diet culture is working against us. So besides that, I do live in Texas now. I'm think of myself still as a Chicagoan because I spent my first 50 years in Chicago, but we've been in Texas now for 6.5 years. Married to a wonderful guy, have 4 children. Youngest is now 20. And I'm also a lawyer, not practicing anymore. Homeschooled my kids for 13 years. So I've done a lot of different things. And now I'm having fun helping people lose weight in a radically new and different way that's super effective. And it's like the best job I've ever had.
Wow, I learned a lot of things that I didn't know about you, so that was nice. So yeah, my first question is, so before we go any further, I just want to preface this with the statement that all these questions are from my perspective as someone who doesn't really have any opinions or background information about weight loss. So some of the questions may feel very insensitive or like, how can that guy ask that? And I just want to point out that I'm asking questions from the perspective of someone outside this problem and hoping it reaches the audience that is like me so that they can gain more awareness around this topic. So the first question is yeah, like you really emphasize that 50, like 50, right? And so I think there are the obesity problem. A lot of people have weights that are so far beyond their target weight. And it seems that, weight is gained in a linear level, right? You may have up and down, but like it has to basically go up at a like increasing rate. How do people get to a weight that's so far beyond their ideal goal in the first place?
Yeah. And I think that's a great question to start off with. And it can be different for everybody. There's three main ways that I think, I mean, some people are just from their childhood grew up in a situation where they've been overweight since childhood. And but that's not typically what I see in my clients. There definitely are people who had backgrounds like that, and they've just never known what it's like to be thin. Another way is that your weight can slowly creep up over time. And that, what's not helping us in that situation is there's a lot of misinformation out there on what is actually healthy. If you were, well, you're younger than me, so you might not remember this, but back in like the 80s, I think there was this low fat craze where it was just like, oh, just cut fat out of your diet. And then they introduced all of these low fat processed foods onto the market, and they were filled with very high carbohydrate, very highly processed food. And people thought that they were doing good things for themselves by eating that. And they were slowly gaining weight. And there's still a lot of information out there that say that things like grains are good for you. And honestly, if you have a farm where you're trying to fatten cows as fast as possible, that's what you feed them, grains. And human bodies, if you think back to what we evolved from, back in the day, we were eating, meat that we could kill, like saber-toothed tigers, and gathering nuts and fruits and stuff that just grew. We weren't eating grains. That the grains didn't even come into existence until the agrarian era, when people settled down and started farming.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could have someone who's obese since childhood or overweight since childhood. You could have someone whose weight just slowly creeps up over the years. You can also have just people who, there's a lot of people that out there who, and I was one of these people, who learned how to soothe themselves with food. It's very easily accessible now. You just don't learn to deal with stress or your emotions. And in fact, a lot of people, including me, were brought up in families where you were not encouraged to express your emotions. You were, in fact, told not to.
Mm-hmm.
And so we learned how to stuff our emotions down by eating food, and then just slowly gain weight over time. And this is so common. This is such a common effect of how people gain weight over the years, is we start out at a normal weight, but you're hit all day long with these messages from society that you're not thin enough, especially as women. Supermodels out there, freakishly skinny. Most of the advertising that we saw for years and years and years, it has started to get a little bit better now, where they have more models that are just normal sized people, or even plus sized people. But it used to be that every image you were hit with in advertising was a super thin person. So, when I was a normal sized person as a teenager, I started to think, oh, my thighs are fat, I should lose weight. And then what do? What's out there is you go on a diet.
Mm-hmm.
When you go on a diet, the diets out there are just so unhelpful. You're slashing calories below what your body needs. You're forcing yourself to either eat overly processed. Like, I went on a slim fast diet.
Mm-hmm.
Slim fast is this. I think they only had shakes back in the day. Maybe they're different now, but you were supposed to drink a slim fast shake like 3 times a day or something. I don't even remember. It was so awful. You're just hungry all day long.
Uh-huh.
And, I forced myself to do that for 6 weeks. Did I lose weight? Yes. I lost like 10 pounds. And then in the next 6 weeks, I gained it all back plus 5 more. So that's the problem. That's the way a lot of people lose weight, is that we go on diets, we lose weight, we gain it all back. And it's our bodies will fight for the nutrition that it needs.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go on these drastic diets, you're not giving your body what you need. You're not eating when you're hungry. So you're losing trust with your body. It destroys the relationship with your body and with yourself. And then at the end of it, you're heavier than you started off. You're filled with shame that you weren't good enough, that obviously the diets work. Look at their advertisements. You've got overweight, unhappy person here, and then you've got skinny, happy person over here. And that's not me. I'm still overweight and unhappy. So it must be my fault.
So I think parts of the next question I'm about to ask has been addressed. So there was this low-fat era. There's this slim fast era. There's the Atkins era. So there's so many different approaches or diets that solve the weight problem. But like you say, weight problem has been around for a really long time, right? Why is there continuously new ways to tackle this problem? Is there no silver bullet?
There's no quick fix. And when you say, why are there so many, what did you say, approaches, solutions out there that solve the problem? My reaction to that is there though? Are there that many solutions out there that solve the problem? Because they don't solve it long term. There's a lot of things out there that'll help you lose weight short term. But see, my program, and I didn't even mention what my program is. I have a 6-month coaching program. It's called Trust the Journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it means trust the journey of your life. It doesn't mean you go on a short-term journey with me where you lose the weight and then you go back to your regular life. This is learning how to lose weight in a way that fits your life. And the programs that are out there, like Atkins and Slim Fast, and Optavia is a current one now, and Weight Watchers and all of that, they are not meant to be something that you do for the rest of your life. They're
Mm.
not sustainable. Like who would want, like Optavia is, you eat processed foods for like, they call them fuelings,
Mhm.
5 fuelings a day, and then you're allowed to eat regular food once a day as
Uh,
long as it's lean and green, which means, like lean meats and salads or the vegetables, there's
mhm.
no room there for life. There's no room for going on vacation and eating out at restaurants. There's no room for having cake on somebody's birthday.
Mhm.
So it's there's no silver bullet. There's no quick fix. Um, you can even something that some people think of as a quick fix, which is weight loss surgery, where you get your stomach stapled. That doesn't even work long term, because when people do that, so many people who have had that surgery gain the weight back anyway. And then at the end of it, they're stuck in an even worse, like a terrible situation, because they're still overweight, but they have this tiny, tiny stomach that can only hold a little bit amount of food, and it like destroys their life. And then their self-confidence. That's the thing, is all of these supposed solutions out there
Mhm.
don't work long term, and then they destroy your confidence and your trust in yourself. And basically none of them work on your mindset.
Yeah.
None of them work on what it is that you're thinking. And you need, like, in my program, you learn how to change what you're thinking as you lose the weight. Change your mindset. Like, you could change your mindset starting right now, but
Mhm.
it's something, obviously, it's like, this from being in life coach school. it's an intentional choice that you make, like, throughout your day, every day.
Yeah.
You can't just go, oh, I'm going to change my mindset, boom, and then you're done. It's like continual intentional choice over and over again. So
Yeah.
the problem with solutions out there is that they're not sustainable. They're certainly not fun.
Mhm.
People come to me and they're like, like, why do you go? What happened? Why'd you gain the weight back? Well, it was boring. It's like, I just felt like I was deprived the whole time. It's not fun. It was miserable. Like, if you're gonna do a program like that, you're just gonna be like, I can't wait until this is over. And what I do is I teach people how to lose weight in a way that fits their life, that fits their day on a day-to-day basis, that fits their likes and their dislikes, that fits their lifestyle. And you change your mindset along the way, and you do it in a way that's fun and enjoyable. So like, you never want to stop.
Yeah. And the wording that, came from the Octavia program, like you're allowed.
Yeah.
And all
And
this,
fuelings,
yeah, and all,
fuelings. Like, you are not a car coming
yeah,
up to the
yeah.
gas station, sticking gas in your car.
So it all
There's,
sounds very dehumanizing.
yes. And it allows no room for, like, you know, the emotional part of food or the cultural aspect of food,
Mhm.
having pie on Thanksgiving, or,
Mm.
having your mom's favorite dessert at Christmas time, or whatever it is. There's no room for that.
Yeah, or like if you're Asian, then your the diet is gonna be a lot of carbohydrates because of rice, and a lot of these weight programs are centered around like American audiences that are from a more like European ancestry and background. So I guess, yeah, I can see how that affects a lot of yeah, that's so fascinating.
And
Um
the other thing is, most of the things that are out there, people think, well, I just have to cut out all of the foods that I love. In
mm,
my program, you don't have to cut out anything.
yeah, yeah.
It doesn't mean you eat potato chips all day long and just change your mindset and say, well, I'm going to lose weight eating potato chips. That,
Uh-huh.
your body's, like I said, your body's going to fight for the nutrition that it needs.
Hmm.
But you need to be able to work foods that you love into your everyday life.
Okay.
That way you want to keep going.
Yeah. And so like speaking of the, like mind and the emotion on the human aspect of it, like you're obviously a weight loss coach, right?
Yeah.
But there are people who are on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? They have lots of issues with eating because, they never reach that kind of like accepted like statistically normal rate because they are so afraid of getting above in the first place. So do people with underweight problems also sometimes seek to consult you, or what's your experience on the other end of the spectrum?
I haven't had people who are underweight come
Hmm.
to me. And I think one of the reasons is that I do know people who are underweight and they don't think that being underweight is a problem. And I think part of the reason why is because society glorifies you to be super skinny and super underweight. And it's not considered a problem in our society at all. I will say, though, that I had a lot, you'd be surprised. So many people come to me who have only like 5 pounds to lose or 10 pounds to lose, but that 5 pounds rules their life. They think about it all the time. They spend so much time and energy thinking about this 5 pounds that they need to lose. So it's not all about, I also have people who come to me who have 40 pounds to lose or 50 or 100 pounds to lose. But it's amazing how a very small amount of weight can have such a big impact on somebody's thinking about how they view themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So we briefly talked about like relapse, right? Like why'd you gain the weight back? And I think one of the reasons you discussed is like, oh, I did hit the weight, but then it was so grueling and it's finally over. And then like, oh, and then it comes back. Like maybe this is an insensitive gesture, but like, what are some other common reasons why people hit that desired, like really coveted weight? They
Yeah.
have it,
Yeah.
but then why do they like, what are some reasons why they relapse after that?
Well, a big one is that a lot of the programs are just unsustainable.
Hmm.
Like the Slim Fast program that I went on, I was hungry for 6 weeks all the time. You can only maintain that level of willpower against physical hunger for so long.
Mm.
And then it will come roaring back. And as soon as you allow yourself to eat regular food again, your body's like, oh my God, give me more. And you feel like you have no control over it because you just have deprived yourself for so long. It's like a diet backlash, is the way I describe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big one. Another one is people don't change their thinking as they lose weight, as they go down the scale. And they think that when they get to happy, smiling, thin self, they're going to think differently. And they don't. So they're still thinking, they're still like stressed, they still have bad days and they haven't learned how to deal with the stress or the bad days. They haven't learned how to feel their emotions and be with their emotions instead of eating to avoid them. So all of those ways of being are still there. And if you don't change them as you go down the scale, they're still all going to be there. So you might, when you lose the weight, you're like, oh, I'll just be so happy. I'll never gain. No, you're happy for like maybe a week or two. And then your life, like we learned in life coach school, your life is basically 50-50. 50% what we consider positive emotions and 50% what we consider negative emotions. And until you learn how to think of the negative emotions differently and not eat over them, not turn to food to soothe yourself over them, that's the only tool you have left. If you can learn different tools as you're losing the weight, then you have this whole toolbox of things so that when stress hits or you had a bad day or you're hit like triggered by something emotionally, you have different tools to deal with it instead of turning to food.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is that you really need to learn a new way of looking at what people consider mistakes.
Mm.
So when you overeat, a lot of people think, oh, well, when I lose the weight, I won't overeat anymore. I still overeat. Do you ever overeat?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
people do. It's like just part of life. Like
Mm.
you might, first of all, eat more food because you're at some special dinner and like I'm never going to get this food again for like 2 years because I'm in Hawaii or something like that. Or it might be you just miscalculate. Like, I think this is a good amount of food for me. And then it ends up that it's not, and you feel overly full. And if you don't learn a new way to deal with that situation, which is something that I go into depth in my program, because people think that's just going to disappear, go poof, it's not going to happen. and it doesn't. And so when it does happen, like I have tools in my program that teach you how to approach it. And when you overeat, sometimes it's just a miscalculation. And but people who struggle with their weight for a long time, and this was me for a very long time. You overeat, you think I feel fat, and then you feel defeated and you feel dejected and like there's something wrong with you. And oh my God, why am I still struggling with this? And you can just spiral down. And what happens when you spiral down, when you've struggled with your weight for a long time, is that you'll then turn to food to soothe yourself. And it turns into this like, what do you call that? Where it's just like spiraling in the
Yeah,
same,
negative feedback loop.
you eat to soothe yourself and you feel worse because you did, and so then
And
you eat
then
to soothe yourself, and it just keeps going down.
Mhm.
So it's not, when people want to lose weight, it's not, they don't want to just lose weight. I think every single one of my clients who have come to me also want to find peace
Mhm.
around food.
Mhm.
They want to not obsess around food all the time. They want to feel comfortable around food. They're like, why can't I just eat like a normal person? They look at people like you and go, well, he has no issues around food. Why can't I just eat like that?
Yeah,
So those are all reasons why people relapse.
yeah, and I mean, to be honest and open about it, I've had a lot of weight issues as well. Like I was always sort of more or less looking like this, but there was a lot of shame when I just looked at my body in the mirror. And you mentioned overeating, and then there was a time when I threw up after eating
Mm.
because like I had some form of like anorexia. I just couldn't fathom the fact that like this is going to be like all the food that I just ate is gonna be a part of me, and it's gonna sag and it's gonna make me feel like crap. And so, which ties into the next question, right? So if you've ever thought about weight loss or weight itself, it's so obvious that there's a lot of emotional component to it. There's a lot of like thought component to it. But why are the prominent commercial like programs for weight loss, why do they never really take care of this? Why do they always try to solve it as a diet problem?
Yeah, it's so true. And it's so sad. It's such a disservice to people. I think it's just because what's being sold out there is just, you can buy this here, buy our product. you know One-on-one coaching is very time consuming.
Hmm.
There's a limited amount of it. You can't have a company and scale and just have one-on-one coaching, and that's what I find to be the most effective thing. Whereas if you have a company and you're like, we'll just sell these shakes and these bars and these frozen meals or whatever it is, that you can make a lot of money that way. I mean, the weight loss, think about it. Weight loss programs out there, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, and all that. It's a bottom line thing. They're trying to make money. And it just, even Noom, which says it has a coaching like portion to it, it's not real. It's not like my program, you get coaching for an hour every week. And it's one-on-one, it's individualized. We deal with whatever's coming up for you. For Noom, it's an app on your phone. Like you get, I don't know, like a inspirational quote once a day or something like that. It's not, and it's automatic. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't, those programs out there, they don't help you uncover the real reasons why you're overeating.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest key. They don't help you build your life. They don't help you learn how to become your future self. Um, and what I do is I teach people to have a relationship with their body.
Mm-hmm.
There's programs out there like, ignore your body. You need to eat this in this amount, no matter what your body says, you know. And I teach you to trust your body,
Mm-hmm.
have compassion for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Does Weight Watchers teach you to have compassion for yourself? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a program, I don't know if you've heard of this one. There's a program called 75 Hard. You ever heard of that? 75 hard is for 75 days. You do 5 things every day, I think. One of
Uh-huh.
them is workout twice and for an hour. And one of those workouts has to be outside. One of them is you read 10 minutes of a self-help book. One of them is pick any food nutrition program you want and follow it. I forget what the other two are. But if you don't do one of those, like you say, you forget to do your reading for one
Yeah.
day, you failed, you got to start over. Day one. There's no room for grace. There's no room for compassion. There's no room for, like today in Texas, it's sleeting and snowing. You still got to go outside, do your hour of workout outside. It just doesn't like it. Whose life does that fit?
Yeah. So I want to quickly point out to like the general viewers that all these types of do this, do that kind of thing is what we call A-line coaching within our realm of coaching. So basically it's all about actions. Do this, do that. But actions are ultimately most powerful when they're driven by intentional thoughts. And so if your thoughts are not backed, you know, if your thoughts are not backing your actions, you're gonna do the actions, but it's just gonna be really vapid. So with that said, moving on to the next question, I know from following your social media accounts that actual like nutrition and understanding the science behind what you eat is part of what you teach in your program. So how far, like, is there a limit on how far you can go with like just nutrition versus can you ignore all nutrition and just purely go with mental work like coaching? Or does it have to be like kind of hand in hand?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can't just decide, I'm so powerful, I can lose weight no matter what, and then just eat cookies and ice cream and potato chips. That's not going to work because,
Okay.
your body is it's going to want to be fueled and it's going to fight you if you don't give it what it needs. So obviously you need both. Um, if you were just a machine and you could input, that would be easy. Everyone could just go on a Whole30 for the rest of their life and eat only lean protein and fresh fruits and vegetables and a little bit of monounsaturated fat, and they would all like get to the right weight. But so you need both. But and I don't know that I could put a percentage on how much of each. You really just need to combine both. And the thing that's great is they'll feed on each other too. So when you figure out, okay, this is a nutrition strategy that works for me with the foods that I love, and here's the mindset changes, and then you see the nutrition work and you see the mindset helping you stick with the nutrition, and it's like the opposite of a downward spiral. It's like an upward spiral. Like, I'm feeding my body what it needs. My body is trusting me. Now I'm trusting my body. I'm eating when I'm hungry. I'm not ignoring my hunger when I'm hungry. The relationship of trust is building. And then the other thing that's so huge is that when you can like really truly know, when I'm reaching for chocolate covered pretzels at night, it's not about the chocolate covered pretzels. There's something else going on. If you can look at that moment, like when you're driving a car and the indicator light goes on your dashboard, and you're like, you don't just look at the indicator light and go, oh, I must need gas. I'm going to go like put some gas in my car. But you don't ignore it. You're like, so you don't just like fight yourself when you want to eat pretzels, chocolate covered pretzels at night, and go, I'm not going to eat them. I can't. I have to force myself not to. So, because I want to lose weight. Only thin people can eat those. Instead, you can look at like, oh, look, indicator light is going on. I wonder what's going on. Let's take a look under the hood.
Yeah.
And then maybe get out a journal and start journaling about what are my thoughts? What are my feelings? What's going on with me right now? It doesn't mean there's something wrong with me that I want to reach for food when I'm not hungry. Just like a little flag popping up. Let's take a look at what's going on.
That makes a lot of sense because like you wouldn't like white knuckle through low gas, right? So that makes a ton of sense. And okay, so a lot of people aren't really aware of coaching as a potential solution for weight loss. So for the people who have absolutely no idea what like an actual coaching program is like, can you just describe the experience as you onboard the program and then like week by week, each session by session, what happens? Like,
Yeah.
because people are like, so yeah, what do we do? Do we get on a like phone call and is it like every day? Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of it's not immediately obvious.
Well, in my program, so my program is 6 months. And the reason why it's 6 months is because it takes time
Mhm.
to learn the mindset changes. It's like I said, it's not something where you just flip a switch. It's something that you intentionally need to choose over and over again. But anyway, when you sign up for my program, I have a couple of portals on my website. And so you get instant access to the portals. One of them is a bunch of coaching videos, and it talks about nutrition strategy. And then I also have workshops on there that deal with all kinds of things like mindset and mindset strategy, nutrition strategy, all of that. So you get instant access to all of those. And those videos you can watch over and over again as much as you want. And then I have another portal that I'll talk about in a minute. That's like a bonus portal. And then once a week, we get on a Zoom call, just like you and I are on. It's an hour a week. And the client can bring to me whatever's going on with them.
Mhm.
So it's really fascinating because there'll be a lot of coaching sessions where we don't actually talk about food at all.
Mm.
We'll talk about like relationships because a relationship in this person's life triggers them, and it triggers them into automatic behaviors. I mean, I used to be triggered by, I used to, when, I had issues setting boundaries,
Mhm.
and I had issues when someone triggered me emotionally. And the first thing I would do is I'd go into the kitchens, open up the pantry or the refrigerator and start looking for food. So I might coach a person on the relationship and what's coming up and what happened in that relationship. What was the circumstance? What were they thinking about it? How did they feel about it? What were the actions they took? Show them this is the result that you're creating in your life. And then no judgment. Let's look at this with curiosity and self love and compassion. And let's look at the thoughts. And are those thoughts even true? And maybe if they are true, do I still want to keep thinking them? What other thoughts are true?
Mhm.
So we'll talk about all of that. And I mean, I've coached people on relationships with their partner or their kids or their parents. Money. Money can be a big trigger for a lot of people. Whatever is coming up at that time, we coach on that. And people usually have aha moments every time.
Mhm.
And they're like, I never thought of it that way,
Yep.
and I mean, people will come to their very first session and just the fact that they have made this commitment to themselves, like, I am going to work on this for the next 6 months of my life. And just, if I have a very like compassionate and healing energy about me, and also people confide in me a lot. So, it can feel so can it feel people come to me and they say I feel so much lighter already, like they start to lose the mental weight immediately.
And I just want to quickly say that that is definitely the kind of energy I felt on the day I met you. Like we were outside of the venue where the training was taking place, and then I was having lunch, Kathy was having lunch, and Kathy was sitting in front of me. And then like I had a like before, this is all before coaching. So I normally don't really open up to people because I had a lot of reservations about like expressing myself. But when I was talking with Kathy, I just found myself just talking about all these different aspects of my life, and yeah, that just reminded me of our initial encounter. So I just wanted to really quickly say that. Um, but okay, so we're coaches and we deal with thoughts, right? And so, and you have also experienced the domain in which you coach on, which is weight loss. So, what is one thought that the viewers can pick up today if they are concerned with weight loss? What's one thought that they can introduce to their mind and just kind of like wonder about?
Yeah, that is such a great question. And it's so key to the whole thing, right?
Mm.
So just yesterday, I posted on social media because I just started playing Wordle. Do you play Wordle?
Yeah.
I just started playing. I know I'm so late to the game. Wordle's been around for a long time, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And for anybody who doesn't know, it's a little game on your phone and you try to guess a 5-letter word in 6 guesses. So I had seen people posting about it on Facebook. I had no idea what it was. And for some reason, I think my daughter came up to me about a week and a half ago and she's like, what's a word that if there's an A here and an F, no, there was an A here and there's an O here and there's a T here. What could this be? And I looked at it and I was like, okay, adopt.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought there was, I didn't no idea what it was. I thought it was like, there was like 10 different version, like options that it could be.
Oh, yeah.
I was just giving her the first one that came to me.
Uh-huh.
And then she like 2 seconds later, she's like, oh yeah, that's it. I'm like, what do you mean that's it? So anyway, she explained to me how Wordle works. So now I'm playing. And to me, it's this fun, entertaining, challenging puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to it.
Uh-huh.
And I want people to consider the idea that weight loss can be simple and fun and enjoyable and easy. So like easy, simple, and fun, just like Wordle, just like a puzzle that you figure out. So if you, I mean, I would hope that if you were playing Wordle and you get the word wrong, you don't go, my God, I'm such an idiot. Like, how do I even function in the world? I can't even guess a 5-letter word. It's just something that's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And what's taught to us out there with the whole diet culture is that weight loss is hard, that it's like completely miserable experience, and that it's super complicated. It's so complicated, you have to go get their program and follow it to a T, regardless of what your body says. And also that you need to do something super extreme. You know, you need to do 75 hard, or you need to only eat these points according to Weight Watchers, or you need to calculate every calorie that you eat and put it into an app in your phone and then burn off a certain number of calories so that you have a calorie deficit. Like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to intermittent fast. You can listen to your body. You can eat when you're hungry. You can follow a simple nutrition strategy that is not complicated. And you can do it in a way that fits your lifestyle, where you eat real foods, no processed diet food crap, and foods that you actually enjoy eating. You know, so you can have pie at Thanksgiving, you can have cake on your birthday, you can go out to eat at restaurants, and you can be like, feel at peace with all of that, and just like take all of that time and energy that you used to spend worrying about your body and food and eating and all of that, and put it towards something that like you love.
Yeah. And so we are coaches and we are not saying, what, your problem? It's not even a problem. Everything's so easy.
Yeah.
Why aren't you thinking this way? We're actually, we both, all coaches are really familiar with the emotional problems that can happen, because we've all been there before, because it's a human experience. It's
Yeah.
Some people are immune to kind of these kind of thoughts, right? So what Kathy and I are really trying to communicate is that, yeah, right now, weight loss feels hard and it feels tough and it feels really like dreadful, but there's a possibility that it might actually be easy and entertaining. And if that were true, what would that be like? We're just asking you to invite that possibility into your life.
Yeah. And the reason why we all think weight loss is so hard is because we're bombarded with messages that tell us that.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, there's something wrong with you if you think that weight loss is hard. Of course you think weight loss is hard. Like, advertisements all over. They can't even turn on a football game or something without all these advertisements about how this is what you need to do and it's super extreme and all of that.
Yep.
But yeah, consider the fact that it could be easier and simpler than you think, and it could actually be fun.
Yeah. And so, last question is, you have a some upcoming stop self-sabotaging seminar, right? And
Yeah.
so, can you speak a little more about like the whole experience of self-sabotaging?
Yeah, I mean, and if you want to hear more about the self-sabotage and how to stop it, because this is a cycle that a lot of people are in. They have a plan. This is what I'm going to do. Even people who don't buy into the whole diet thing. Well, I'm just going to eat healthy. And then they just eat stuff that they weren't planning on eating. And then like, oh gosh, why do I sabotage myself? And I mean, I used to do this for years and years too. But the webinar is this Friday and it's just an hour. So it's going to be super short and accessible. And in it, I'm going to tell you 3 things that you need to stop doing in order to stop sabotaging yourself. And I'll give you another thought that will help you with weight loss. So if you want another one besides weight loss, can be easier and simpler than you think. There will be one thought that can help propel you towards your goal weight. Tell me again what the question was. I already forgot.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I
Oh,
think
what
you
about
answered it already.
self-sabotage?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's part of that diet cycle where we restrict, we tell ourselves that we can't have something instead of like what I can do is teach you how to work your favorite foods into your nutrition strategically. And then you don't feel the need to be reaching for these foods that you can't have
Hmm.
because you figure out a way to have them. And a lot of people like, I'm eating foods I don't even really want. I'm just eating because I need to eat and because I feel driven to eat. And again, that's like, let's figure out how to look under the hood at what's really going on.
I relate so hard to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like snacks that I would never really reach out for, but then there are times where I'm like, yoink. So
Yeah. And then we start to feel bad about ourselves. Oh God, why did I eat those chocolate covered pretzels? It would be really good right now, something salty. Maybe
mm,
I'll go eat some chips. And then you eat
yeah.
chips and then you're like, you
Uh
know what? That didn't quite do it. I still want to eat something. How about some ice cream? And then you're just like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
self-sabotaging at its peak. So yeah, the seminar is in February 3rd to 2023, and it's from noon to 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. I think that's what
Yeah.
CST stands for, right?
Yes,
Um,
Central Time.
all
And if you can't make it, if you can't tune in during that time, that's no problem because I'm allowing replays. I'll be sending out replays of that workshop until February 12th.
all right.
So I think Billy was going to put the my email address and social media links and all of that stuff in the show notes, and you can reach out to me, sign up for the workshop, or like ask me your questions about weight loss.
All
What
right. Yeah, so like Kathy just said, all the links are in the description below. And yeah, I mean, I just had every time I talk with you, it's such a blast. Thanks for agreeing to this interview, and I hope it helps a lot of people who are thinking of very difficult thoughts about weight loss.
Thanks for having me on the show. Do you call it a show? It's the Billy
I don't
Show.
know. It can be a show now.
We should think of a catchy name for your show.
Yeah, yeah. Help me think of one.
Let's do
All
it.
right.